Yo, what's up, movie people? I hope you're doing well. This is going to be my video ranking all the Spider-Man movies, including the Venom movies and Morbius. So, all 13 Spider-Man universe movies. I'm going to rank them all since we just got Across the Spider-Verse. I'm going to put the picture up on that side right there when we get to it. But let's get right to the ranking. All right, in 13th place, it's the obvious choice. It's Morbius by Jared Leto. Jared Leto is our main star in Morbius, and let me just say, this movie I think came out last year. It was very forgettable. It's almost as forgettable as Moonfall. Like, they almost came out around the same time, and those movies I kind of look at the same. They're really forgettable, but some of the action scenes are actually kind of cool. But Jared Leto, man, I don't know if he can really come back from his recent acting performances. House of Gucci in this, it's just not looking too good for him. And his performance just wasn't great. The VFX were really the only strong part about the movie. The Matt Smith was also kind of like the villain. It just wasn't a good movie. The plot was horrible. And making him an anti-hero is just so stupid. Sony, stop with your anti-hero crap. Not every villain needs to be an anti-hero. And was it this film that had... Yes, it was this film that had the terrible post-credit scene with Michael Keaton's Vulture, who didn't even sound like Michael Keaton. I don't even think it was him. It was the most horrendous post-credit scene I think I've ever seen out of a Sony movie. It's just not a good movie at all. So Morbius is my 13th place. Next up, I'm going to put Venom Let There Be Carnage, the second Venom movie with Woody Harrelson. You know, I think this movie had a lot going for it. I saw the trailers and I was kind of hyped for it. I really thought it was going to be so spectacular. I thought the action was going to be insane, but there wasn't a lot here, you know? I kind of like the story a little bit more than the first one, but the action really let me down. And Woody Harrelson's performance as Carnage wasn't what I really was wanting too much, and we hardly got that much Carnage, you know? If you look at it, our Carnage versus Venom fight was hardly that long, and it wasn't as gory as I would like it to be. Venom movies should be rated R. We're getting a rated R Craven movie. Why couldn't we have rated R Venom movies? I just don't understand that. You know, I think that the ending of this movie is strong. If it could have been like that, the whole movie, I think this one would have been very strong. But overall, it's a very average movie. It's better than Morbius, but it's still very average and not one that I'll go back to as much as some other ones on here. So Venom Let There Be Carnage takes number 12. Next up is the first Venom movie. Tom Hardy has his first role stepped into Venom. I saw this one in theaters once, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. You know, it's a little bit better than Venom Let There Be Carnage, but I still find it to be just missing something. You know, maybe not violence or blood. I think it's just missing, I think it's missing, Spider-Man, You need Spider-Man in these Venom movies. It's one thing that would take it from okay to great, because getting Spider-Man to fight Venom is something we haven't seen since Spider-Man 3, and I think that Venom having his own movie just doesn't work for me. It doesn't satisfy me as much as I need it to, and I think that loses rewatch value because I haven't gone back to Venom 1 or Venom 2 in years, man. Since they've both come out, I don't go back to them very much. Maybe I go back to a couple scenes, but I don't go back to the whole movie because there's just not enough there. The fight scenes are cool, the VFX are cool, but there's not enough character development, not enough characters that I like to revisit. Riz Ahmed, I think, is the villain of this one, and I think that was just not a great choice. I didn't really like his villain too much. I think they could have expanded the lore a little bit more in this one too. I think this one could have been longer. It's a little short, but overall it's average, just like the second one, but it's a little bit better, So Venom 1 is going to go at the 11th spot. All right, the next two are kind of interchangeable, but my number 10, I got Spider-Man 3, directed by Sam Raimi. Spider-Man 3 is one that I never really hated like some other people. I have a lot of fun with Spider-Man 3. I think it's a very fun movie. I think it's actually a very emotional movie, but I think that there's just too much going on in this movie at some points. It kind of almost suffers what Amazing Spider-Man 2 suffers with a villain problem, but I think it just comes down to they can't wrap it all up at the end to make me really satisfied. The whole Venom story should have been its own movie instead of Venom being with Sandman, being with the new Harry Osborn Green Goblin. I actually did like the Harry Osborn Green Goblin kind of plot point of how he gets like amnesia and then he becomes Green Goblin after finally figuring it out that Spider-Man killed his dad, but not like on purpose. But I really did like that plot line. But you can't have all these three plot lines in there just going together. If you were to do that, you need like a 3.5 hour movie to really settle everything. But I know Sam Raimi kind of got effed over by the studio for this one, just like Mark Webb did. But you know, I still have fun with this one. It's such a fun movie. So many meme moments that are just awesome. But that last fight scene, the third act fight scene, is just so enjoyable. I think the VFX are great in this movie, and they really hold up to what we have today, and I really like that. And Harry Osborn's death really does still hit hard for me. It's a really emotional film, but overall, I feel like this movie has a lot in it that I really enjoy, but it just has too much in it. That just makes it a little too convoluted for me. So Spider-Man 3 sits at number 10. Next up, as I said, it's close. Amazing Spider-Man 2. The only reason why this is higher than Spider-Man 3 is I like Andrew Garfield as a Spider-Man more than Tobey Maguire. It's just personal choice. You could like any other ones. I don't have a problem if you like Tobey better than him, if you like Tom Holland. I don't have a problem. I think they're all like really close in my opinion. And Amazing Spider-Man 2, I have a lot of emotional attachment to it because that's one of the first Spider-Man movies that I really remember seeing in the theater. And that Gwen Stacy death scene with Emma Stone, oh my gosh. It's one of the most hard-hitting deaths that you can have in a comic book movie. With the web going down and making a whole hand, that's so hard-hitting. And then her neck breaking on the fall. Andrew Garfield's acting in that, oh man, it just gets me so sad thinking about it. You know, and the swinging in that movie is so great. And I think Electro is actually really cool. But still, like Spider-Man 3, there's too much going on. You can't have a setup movie that big just going on with so much other stuff. You know, I think it's just too much. But I actually go back to this one a lot because it's a really fun movie, you know. It has a lot of emotional moments in it, and I think the swing scenes are great. CGI is great, and it has a lot of memeable moments, just like Spider-Man 3. So Amazing Spider-Man 2 sits at my number 9. Next up is the first Amazing Spider-Man, one that I'm very high on compared to a lot of other people. But as I said, Andrew Garfield, my favorite Spider-Man. I really actually do like the Lizard in this one a lot. He was actually a really cool villain, and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, I really do love Emma Stone so much, and she played Gwen Stacy perfectly in my opinion. I love that love story, and I feel like this movie might be a little too long, but I love the way that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man. I kind of like that a lot, and kind of when Uncle Ben dies, I don't really like that Uncle Ben death scene too much, but I really do like this Aunt May in this one. I think she's awesome in this one. I enjoy her a lot. I feel like she has a lot to offer against Andrew Garfield in this one. Like them playing off each other is really perfect. And the final fight scene on the Oscorp Tower is just one that I remember a lot. You know, I really remember that one. And then Captain Stacy dying, I remember that scene very much. It's a hard-hitting scene. A lot of these scenes in the Amazing Spider-Man movies are very hard-hitting. So that's why Amazing Spider-Man 1 is at my number 8. Alright, at 7, might be controversial. Might be. It's my opinion though, so I'm going to make it. Spider-Man 1. Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie. This one I have a lot of nostalgia for this one, but still it's not as high up as I remember it, because from 7 to 5, they're all very close. You know, they're very close. But Spider-Man 1 just sits a little bit beneath those other ones because I don't see myself going back to it as much as I'd want to, because it's kind of like an older movie. Some of the effects don't live up to what I'd like them to, but that's not the movie's fault because it's an older movie. But I really do like the arc of the Green Goblin, but I do wish there was a little bit more there. You know, I wish there was a little bit more Spider-Man against Green Goblin scenes. I kind of like the rooftop scene against Green Goblin. I don't really like that scene too much, but I love when they're at the Thanksgiving dinner at Aunt May's place. I love that scene so much. And then the end scene when Green Goblin's glider flies right into him. Oh man, that is so cool. I remember that so vividly. And I just remember, you know, this being the first Spider-Man movie directed by Sam Raimi. I can't believe how magical it must have been for people to experience this in the movie theater for the first time. You know, it must have been so magical. I didn't get to experience it that way, sadly. But I just think this film is a great Spider-Man film and a great film overall, so that's why it's my number 7. All right, I got 2 more hot takes. The next one is Spider-Man Far From Home at 6. I don't care what anyone says. You can hate this movie all you want, but I think this is a great movie. It just reminds me of summer a lot. I saw this movie in the theater like twice when it came out in July, I think it did. I don't know what year, 2018, 2019? 2019, I think it was, after Endgame. And I really just remember having such a fun time with it. This is one that I really go back to a lot because Tom Holland's not my favorite Spider-Man, but I think he has some of my favorite Spider-Man movies because I love all the side characters. I love Zendaya in this. I feel like she's awesome. I love his teachers in these movies. I think they're all pretty funny. The comedy lands, and John Watts' directing is really great. I love his directing in these movies. I just love the feel of the whole summer trip here. And Nick Fury in this one is awesome playing it Spider-Man. And let me just get started on Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I knew nothing about Mysterio going into this one, but Jake Gyllenhaal really sold this role. I love Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor, and I really did love him as like the villain of this movie, and kind of like how he went just so aggressive by the end of it. And that whole scene where Spider-Man is fighting Mysterio with his whole spider senses at the end, and it all turns black. That is one of my favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man scenes. I love it. And I love his new suits that he gets in this movie, and how they call him like the Spider Monkey. I feel like that's awesome. And I love how MJ just finds out who he is just because she's smart, She's smart. I just love this movie a lot more than other people. I think it's a great time. I think it's a great summer movie. As I said, it's one that I go back to a lot, and so that's why it's my number 6. All right, my number 5, we're getting into amazing tier. Spider-Man Homecoming. This is one that I also did see in the theater. I saw all of Tom Holland's movies in the theater, and I love this one because, I feel like we've outdone the origin story of Spider-Man so many times, and I'm happy that they didn't do an origin again. I'm happy that Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he already had the powers. He already was Peter Parker. He already was Spider-Man at the same time, but he was still getting used to how to use it. And I know a lot of people bash this one because Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is kind of like his sidekick, but I really do like that duo a lot. I'm in the minority of liking the duo a lot, but I really do think that Iron Man helps Peter in this one learn about how to like control his powers, how to be more grounded, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And man, the Vulture in this one, Michael Keaton's Vulture, he's a really cool villain. One of my favorite Spider-Man villains, I think. I wasn't expecting to love him as much as I did, but this is one that I also go back to a lot because of Michael Keaton's Vulture. And I love the final fight between them, and I love I love the whole school presence of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. His Peter Parker school presence is really cool. How he's in like decathlon. I think he's in the decathlon, and his teachers are hilarious. Classmates are hilarious. Flash Thompson, this one's so funny. I love it so much. It's just such a comfort movie in my opinion, and I love the ending of it. I love how he doesn't accept the Avengers position with all the new stuff. I love how he just wants to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man by the end of it. I love it so much. So Spider-Man Homecoming is my number 5. Number 4 might be another hot take. Spider-Man 2. This really is interchangeable with number 3, but I don't have a lot of nostalgia for Spider-Man 2. It's an amazing movie, I can't lie, but I never really grew up with it. I never saw it in the theater, so I don't have too much nostalgia for it like other people. But as I said, it's an amazing movie. Doc Ock is one of the best Spider-Man villains, and it's realized so well on screen with Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi's kind of like camera tricks in this one are really cool with the eyes. I love how he does it. And the train scene goes down as one of the best Spider-Man scenes of all time. The whole in battle in this one, the third act, I feel like each act blends so well with each other act in this movie. Just it blends so well together. It capitalizes on everything that I didn't like about Spider-Man 1 so well. It just makes every mistake from Spider-Man 1 so great in Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 has little to no flaws. It's just where my nostalgia lacks, and I don't like Tobey's Spider-Man as much as other people, to where it would be higher than others. But I still feel like this is amazing, and there's so much you could say about it. But I'm going to put Spider-Man 2 at number 4. All right, third place, Spider-Man No Way Home. Just came out 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure. And this is one movie that I love. It's an unforgettable theater experience because of that nostalgia that you get from seeing all these actors on screen that played Spider-Man for the past 15 years. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, then there's Tom Holland, who I already love. And this movie has a lot of emotional beats that I wasn't expecting, and I loved every single bit of them. You know, and we all had all the villains come back in this one, and I think that John Watts really did recognize that there's a lot of... He has to respect the villains and the different Spider-Men, where they came from. And I think that he did a great job respecting them. And he had a lot of different wishes for how everything was supposed to go down. And I think that everything went down super well. I think Tobey and Andrew got great screen time, got great lines. And Andrew got his closure in this one, which is what I really needed in this one, is Andrew getting his closure. And I remember those theater reactions of seeing Andrew and Tobey on the big screen, because I remember seeing it opening night, and then I saw again that same night with a different crowd, just to hear the reaction of when Tobey and Andrew came on screen. I just wanted to hear the reaction. That's why I went that second time that night, just to hear the damn reaction. It's the loudest I've ever heard a movie theater, you know, and I just cannot forget how incredible that is. So Spider-Man No Way Home is at my 3 spot. All right, my 2 spot, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Sony just knocked it out of the park with this one. This one came up on us and surprised us. I was lucky enough to see this one in the theaters too. I've seen most of the Spider-Man movies in theaters, but I was lucky enough to see this one in theaters a long time ago, like 5-6 years ago. But it is something that you never thought you would have gotten as a Spider-Man fan. Some people think that's Spider-Man 1, but I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is something that I never would have thought we'd have. Because Sony usually botches their little movies that aren't with Marvel. But the team that they got behind this, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, it's just, they're special guys. You know, they do a great job. And this movie just shows it. You know, Shamik Moore does amazing in this one. Brings so much heart. Haley Steinfeld, Jake Johnson, Nick Cage, John Mulaney. This movie is amazing. And What's Up Danger, the needle drop of What's Up Danger, is one of my favorite scenes of all time. I love it so much. But Into the Spider-Verse is my number 2. Let's get to number 1. All right. You saw my review of this. If you didn't, go check for it on my channel. Number 1 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is this is probably the first Spider-Man movie I left like completely starstruck and just stunned. No words out of my mouth. I was like, holy crap. How do you get away with making a film like this? And just, I don't get it, man. It's so freaking good. And it's going to win Best Animated Feature. If it doesn't, I would like to have a riot, and all of us can riot the Oscars. You know, let's riot them if it doesn't win Best Animated Picture. And it does deserve to get nominated for Best Picture alone. It's probably going to be better than at least 6 of the Best Picture nominees that we'll get next year. Let me just say that. Hot take. Before we even get to next year, when the Oscar nominations come out, it's going to be better than 6 of the Best Picture nominations. That's a hot take, but it's going to be true. But still, I find that this movie has so much to love, man. For any Spider-Man fan, there's so many different Spider people in this movie that you can find someone just to love. Each frame has so much detail in it that I think you can take so much out at the same time, but you can also take so much in. There's so much heart in this movie. It's such a darker story. We have The Spot here. My introduction to The Spot was amazing. I loved it so much. Soundtrack done by Metro Boomin. He did so well. I'm going to have it on repeat for the next year until Beyond. I wonder if he's going to do Beyond. I'm not sure. But this movie deserves all the praise and love it gets. It just deserves the world. It deserves all the money. And I'm sorry about it, but The Flash there's no way The Flash is going to get close to this movie. I'm sorry, DC, but Spider-Verse just owns you. They might be different movies, but they're not really, because they're both multiverse movies. So you can't really argue with me when The Flash isn't not even going to step on this movie or get a mile close to it. You know, there's no way. I'm just going to end it at that, because Across the Spider-Verse is a treasure. It's a special form of media that we'll never get again, except next year, Beyond the Spider-Verse, which will complete the best trilogy of all time, probably. But leave your rankings down below of your Spider-Man movies. We all have different rankings. We all have our different opinions. I would love to listen to your opinion, so leave it in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.